Welcome everyone to another performance clinic, how to monitor your digital marketing campaign. It's part of my performance clinic series. My name is Andy Grabner, self-proclaimed DevOps and ACE activist. And today with me, I have my dear friend. We've known each other for 10 years? I don't even know.
More than 9.
More than 9, yes, almost 10.
10, yeah, somewhere around that.
Yeah. So Klaus, Senior Product Manager at Dynatrace. Can you, for those people that don't know you, quick intro on who you are and what you're working on and what you do at Dynatrace?
Yeah, with Dynatrace since 2011. I had my 9th anniversary just a week ago. And yeah, I'm since the beginning working and evangelizing on the digital experience monitoring / management side of the house. And always try to bring in the business focus because IT these days, everybody knows, is heavy on IT, and also business focus is coming in more and more. I mean, COVID-19 moved the needle towards digital even more, so more and more processes, businesses are becoming digital, and therefore they have more and more needs in monitoring digital experience. And I'm focusing on the digital experience and the digital business analytics part of the Dynatrace house. And today I wanted to talk about something that I came along lately again, and throughout my entire career, I've seen it over and over again. Yeah.
Maybe before you get started, just a quick, because I just saw a couple of people joining. Just as a reminder, A, this is recorded. That's a common question. The recording will be out there on YouTube and Dynatrace University. B, for those that are online, please ask questions using the question feature. If you watch this offline later on, you can also either reach out to us, you have our names, or you go to answers.dynatrace.com. And last but not least, Klaus, I know you were probably going towards that, but I want to say, what really triggered this whole performance clinic was a recent blog that you posted with a similar title, and that spurred a lot of interest. People asking, digital marketing campaign monitoring with Dynatrace, are you doing this? How does this work? And I know you are actually you're showing us how we also do it internally at Dynatrace and how our customers that use Dynatrace already can do the same thing with Dynatrace. Now, having that said, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, the trigger for the blog post was before the Corona shutdown on this globe. We had, I was visiting South America, and I was standing in front of this wonderful wall of screens, and actually it was over here in this part of the screen where it got we got something interesting. Specifically those two parts, sorry for the blurry, it was basically a mobile phone screenshot that we took there. But there was this comparison of conversions over time. Expected is something that flows like over here, like you have day by day comparison, you have comparison with the week before here. So people would expect that it behaves kind of the same way. But then on the other side over here, we have here this weird behavior of this one line, and they were asking like, what is going on? Why is there this traffic increase in? Another one that popped lately was a Slack message that got sent to me saying like, this was the reaction of someone speaking to Davis, either like sent them back a notification to the team saying like, hey, we have a massive traffic increase, our intercom chat gets spammed, and we get alerted that a lot of these user sessions are basically seeing a response time degradation on a particular page. And yeah, there was another marketing campaign, just to spoil a little bit here. And last but not least, early May, I got notified by someone saying like, hey, can you take a look at this? It's like, we have here a massive spike in the evening. The traffic spike, it's 4 times more traffic. And Unfortunately, looking at business KPIs like the conversions and the conversion rate, the conversion stays constantly constant, and we're still fine. The conversion rate actually dropped significantly. The good news was IT was safe, the data center survived, but it was a lot of traffic that they had to handle. And, yeah, previously had customers telling me like, yeah, we're getting those spikes and it costs us a fortune because we need to scale up IT, we need to pay our CDN provider additional charges because of this additional traffic. So just additional traffic is not really a success factor, as everybody knows. You need to drive conversion at the end. And the thing is, a lot of times IT teams are hit by those really out of the nowhere. And since they are IT teams, they usually think like, hey, somebody is attacking me. Is it a bot attack? It is hackers trying to attack me. And yeah, a lot of times I had to say to them is that like, hey, have you spoken to the friendly guys over in the other office, part of the office, other building, maybe even in the other location, wherever your marketing team is, and have you spoken to them? Are they running a marketing campaign maybe? And that's was very often the explanations to the peak is like, yeah, we just sent out a push notification. We started an email campaign. We started a AdWords campaign. There was this spam messaging on intercom was actually an AdWords campaign. That way you can drive a lot of traffic there, but you want to be, from a marketing perspective, also be aware that you should tell your IT counterparts that, hey, there is traffic coming, because there are costs assigned to additional traffic potentially. And the other way around, if they are not aware and you're firing a lot of traffic at these pages, it can cause problems, and you are left then behind with a lot of customers that had a very, very bad user experience. So yeah, I hope you like those examples. At least they were for me the trigger to discuss a little bit how could we work together better. So really, that's all about biz DevOps collaboration. How can you do that? I want to give you here like 3 steps on how you can get with Dynatrace here to a better common understanding of what is going on.
Klaus, one comment that just came in, and this is also a reminder for people to ask questions. It seems the marketing team has better clothing than the hackers, because the hackers are always have like the dark hoodie. So in case you are, I think what this comment from one of our users says, if you want to be better clothed, maybe go into marketing. But just a joke, and I'm just reading off my question. So, but also a reminder, if you have questions, for those that just joined, use the question feature in GoToWebinar.
Yeah. So what are the 3 steps? What can you achieve with Dynatrace? And I actually want to demo stuff to you to give you a perspective on how easy it is. But let me explain one thing for the IT folks in the house that have never heard about something like UTM parameters, what they are and why they are there. So with one of the latest releases, we have added the session and action properties in Dynatrace. So you can augment the real user sessions with additional data like marketing data. UTM parameters are, from an IT perspective, nothing else but request parameters that are being added. So you can identify where is the traffic coming from. Is it a specific campaign that is driving the traffic? And yeah, it's I have to warn you a little bit. It's kind of a standard that people are using that way, but can be different in each company. So usually, what you have is the campaign name and the campaign source are kind of mandatory ones. Without those two, most of the marketing tools will not provide you a lot of insights either. Medium term and content is something more specific. When it's about A/B testing, content comes in. When it's about the medium, it's about are you paying actually for the clicks coming in, or is it yeah, organic or social driven traffic? And yeah, campaign term, if you're running multiple ad campaigns, you want to know what actually were the keywords people were searching on Google for, and that drove the traffic here to your website. But be aware, it's not an official standard. Some other marketing tools might not leverage the UTM campaign parameters. It is, yeah, it is from the predecessor of Google Analytics. That's, yeah, Google bought this company, Urchin. That's where these parameters come from, and originate from, and they are kind of standard used, but not 100%.
Hey Klaus, one question just came in and I think it fits perfectly. It says, what if we don't use Utm parameters but have our own? Can Dynatrace still capture it?
Yeah, so let's have a look at how we set up things. So we stop here, slideware, and we jump back to in Dynatrace. As you know, we have web applications are showing up here in our list of web applications. And for those, we can define which additional parameters you want to add here and augment these user sessions with. So you go in here, user session and action properties, and I want to first show the ones that are using UTM. All you do is you go in here, add properties. There may be a different one selected, but there is out of the box, we figured that there are a lot of common things people are looking for. Some are tool specific, so have a look. Maybe a third-party integration that you have on your website will show up here as well. But in the web property pack, it's where you can find the UTM parameters. And all you do is basically you say like, hey, I want to add the source, I want to add medium, campaign, term, content. That way you basically capture all of them. If you hit next, you're getting a summary of what you are adding, and you just add those parameters, and you have them here. One little thing for the use case that we are going to talk about today, there is one change that you are going to make to the UTM campaign parameter, a little tiny one, but I want to add this here. It's you are activating that the property is actually stored on each and every user action. That's an important one for one of the next steps that we'll do. Should you want to do it with a different parameter because you're not using the common ones, you can go in here, don't leverage our property packs, but basically do a custom defined one. If it is a request parameter, why are they not active in this system? No, here we are. Query string parameter, you probably want to use a string with 100 characters in length. You add here basically what the parameter name is. Let's say maybe you use something like my camp as the key for the request parameter, and you give it a name, name, for example. You have here additional settings from a do not track perspective. So for those who are in GDPR, have GDPR concerns by tracking this, you could activate here, or you're safe by default, but I'd say like campaign name, I do not care, is not a personal identifiable information, so we just activate here that we capture it all the time. We want to do the same thing. We want to have it as a user action in the session parameter. On the session parameter, the question is, do we want to capture the very first or the very last occurrence throughout a session? it potentially can happen that you see it multiple times, the same request parameter. For campaign tracking, usually you only see it once, and you want to just make sure that you're capturing the very first one. So you're taking the first value here. Yep, then all you do is you save it, and this campaign name capturing rule is there. And from now on, Dynatrace is adding to the data set that is sitting there automatically these additional information.
Klaus, two quick questions that came in. The first one is the property configurable per app only, or is it also possible to define it globally?
It's per app only at the moment.
Yeah, which also kind of, I guess, makes sense because every app has their own little tracking and things. Yeah.
Yeah. What is coming soon is configuration via API that would allow you to add these campaign names via our Dynatrace config API really quickly to multiple applications.
Perfect. And the second question that just came in, you talked about property packs. Is it possible to define custom property packs?
No, it's currently not. This is a security thing, why we are not allowing you to define such property packs. Because we allow within a property pack also to execute JavaScript functions. So let me go to Intercom, for example. Intercom visitor ID that we are capturing here, you're only getting if you're executing on the website front end a JavaScript method function. And if we would allow like totally custom defined, that would cause here troubles. However, if it is because you have there, you would need here a set that is referring to one of these that are listed here, or extending one of those that are listed here, or you have there a different tool, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll have a look and see if we can add the technology that you're leveraging here really quickly.
Thank you.
Okay. So now that we have defined it, what are we getting? What are we getting? I'm going to show you here on our Dynatrace.com live system. We are using what we're talking about ourselves. So if we go into the application, we immediately, after we captured it, get here an overview and can actually select here, for example, the UTM campaign name. Now we can see immediately down here for our analysis time frame a little breakdown. What are the top campaigns that are currently running here in this system? I can also select and see what is the performance of these because we're automatically looking here at the landing pages. What is the performance metric that we have here behind? Visually complete in this case is one that we suggest a lot of times. And the first thing we want to work on is really get us some visibility, get us a little bit of an overview of what is currently going on campaign traffic-wise. So if we want to add here a split by, let's say, continent, just filter down and say like, hey, I'm now only interested in North America. Do not care about the other regions. We're just filtering down. We have the result here. And what we can do now is we can turn this view into metrics. And for those who are familiar with Dynatrace, they know what's going to happen when you're creating a metric. For those that are from the marketing side of the house here on this call is, if you are creating a metric, Dynatrace picks it up. And Dynatrace Davis is our AI that is sitting in the core of Dynatrace, automatically allows you to alert on those metrics, automatically detect anomaly if there are things changing in a way that are suspicious. You would automatically create alerts based on that. So what we're doing is we are just creating here a new metric. We give it a name. It's my marketing campaign from North America. And we define like, hey, do we want to see just a summary of the entire campaign traffic, or do we actually want to know which campaign traffic it is? So really have a little bit of the split here. Usually you wouldn't do like 200 campaigns in parallel, but maybe like 20 on this particular app. And all you do is click create, and you have created the metric. From now on, this metric is being written, and Dynatrace has it available for you. And what I did before is I created a dashboard. I did actually create 5 of these metrics for North America, for Europe, for Asia, for South America, for Oceania. And what I did is basically I put it on a dashboard. It allows me to see like what is the traffic out of this region currently in the last 2 hours, for example. You can see that like, yeah, in Hawaii and in New Zealand, people are currently asleep, so there is not a whole lot of traffic coming from. However, North America, that's where currently is our focus at this time of the day. And we can see what are the top campaigns that are currently driving the landings here. Very simple overview, and you're getting here, I put it here, like the worst case scenarios. It's like, what are the worst landing case experiences that people have on this particular page or for a particular campaign. So like here for North America, we have for the US web monitoring one, it seems that we have users that have a 2.5 minute loading time for this particular landing page. And that's really, really scary, right? Because that will not leave a very, very good impression. So this is something where you can really start working on it. Is we've just lately seen again an extraordinary example of a landing page where really, no kidding, there was images on this particular page worth 1.8 gigabyte of data. It was not a Dynatrace case, was one of our customers who consulted us. 1.8 gigabyte on a single particular page, even with the best bandwidth that you can get on this planet Earth, will take you a while to download all this data. And that is actually really impacting your users. But this is from an IT perspective already a pretty well overview, because now you have there a place where you can double check, hey, is there a certain campaign all of a sudden going through the roof? It was not there before. That's you have very first idea. And from an IT perspective, you have there something that you can leverage when starting to talk with the marketing side of the house. Because you have here the campaign name, and usually there is somebody responsible for a certain campaign. That should be helpful getting the conversation started. But as I said, this is really just the conversation starter here that we are looking at here. What we
Klaus,
have, yeah.
Sorry that I interrupt you, but Jesper had an interesting question. I answered it already, but I want to put it out live, and hopefully you come to the same answer as I did. But the question is, when you're doing some A/B testing, where let's say you have multiple forms of advertising, right? And one of those, let's say A is worse than B, is there an option for Dynatrace to then not only alert, but also, let's say, invoke the tool that then, for instance, triggers the campaign to automatically stop early?
I'll let you answer.
Yeah, I mean, my answer is yes. Yeah, I know, no, I just wrote it back to Jasper, but so then the nice thing, what you showed us earlier with the metrics, and you mentioned it, right? Davis will then monitor it and then it can alert on it. And alerting in Dynatrace means it can be something like sending a Slack message, sending an email, or triggering a ServiceNow workflow, but you can also just call any type of webhook. And Jasper, assuming you're talking about an A/B testing framework that can then be switched with an API call, then Dynatrace can execute that API call for you.
Yeah. Perfect answer. Don't have to add anything there. So yeah, that's the power of Dynatrace. Driving here really business and business continuity actually sometimes. Yeah. What if you have established a relationship between marketing and IT? Is something that you could work on is a dashboard like this. And I zoom out here a little bit because it has been made for a wide screen, bigger than my current laptop that I'm using here for this presentation. But you could, for a specific campaign, create here an overview like this. And no worries, you can get this. I should tell you later on how you can get this together. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort to build something. But let's take a look at what kind of data do we have here. And I see that Lucas Hocker, who actually is the guy who built it into our BizOps configurator. He's still working a little bit on it.
Actually, Klaus,
come up here.
Yeah, if I can interrupt you, he actually already worked on it. And if you quickly look into the chat message in GoToWebinar, he sent me a new link, but I think you didn't see it. So I assume.
Yeah, no, that's not where we want to go because that's the.
Perfect. Lucas is also the magic man behind the scenes here. We want to give a big shout out to Lucas. There you go.
There you go.
Thank you, Lucas.
Lucas, perfect. That's in time. Right in time. We have here this wonderful dashboard. And let's dig a little bit into the details of it. First of all, the first section here, we have really just some key campaign statistics. We know the arrivals for a very particular campaign, like a spring sales campaign. We have here. We know how many arrivals we currently have. We know how many of them converted. The demo environments, we are really, really successful here in this area. Which medium they are using. Are they bouncing off right away or are they converting? So we are really, really great. We have either people bouncing off right away or they are more or less, all of them are converting. We're only losing some of them on the way. We also have here the device breakdown, where we can see, hey, people coming in with the desktop browser. If we have mobile browser, we will see mobile browser coming in as well. We have our synthetic agents sitting there driving some traffic. And whether they are bouncing off or moving on and converted, we have here again this breakdown available. The important thing for me that I always like to talk about is the landing page experience. It's the first time your potential new customer is coming to you, and there's the key here is this page needs to be available. And usually, if you have there a campaign, you know on which particular page people are supposed to land. What Dynatrace can provide you here is really a robot, a synthetic monitor that checks whether this page is up and running and what the performance is from this clean room environment. The other thing is, I always want to know, like, hey, how are the desktop and the mobile traffic from a performance perspective different? Are there any bigger significant changes? Because performance is a key driver of experience. So availability, performance, and my last favorite metric is up here is about errors. Are people experiencing errors when they are trying to convert? So like in this case, we see like, hey, there are error pop-ups showing up. seems there is this your journey something, or this cryptic E1234 that is being presented throughout the journey to a customer. This is something that Dynatrace can have and can give to you. And you also have additional engagement metrics here, you know, like, hey, what's the average number of actions per session? How long do these sessions last? We have here a massive outlier in here. Again, technically speaking, are there certain error clusters that are maybe of interest because they are hindering those sessions? And really nice is also we have here additional user sessions, really particular user sessions where people were facing this error message up here, where they were rage clicking. So you can dive into one of these sessions and see what is going on. This is all not news to people who are familiar with Dynatrace, but these are all these sessions. If we dive into the session details there, we can actually see like, hey, what are these properties that were being set? So like there is even, this user even started an intercom session. So we have here another tie back. We could tie back here to intercom. We would see like what the user did over time. A very quick journey from 30 seconds. It's a simulated one. Actually, in this case, what were the steps? What was this very particular user doing throughout his journey that we have here? And in case you have a session replay activated, and yep, that's my problem. Session replay. In order to get the replay, you need to go to Chrome. See, let's continue over here in Chrome. Then we could even look at what this session looks like, what the user actually did. And it's a very short one, so we are actually at the problematic situation. Yep, right here. We have our problem where instead of a nice summary of what he booked after he landed here, that's where actually he's struggling and cannot actually finish all the way through. That's where he was struggling. Yeah, I said it's not complicated. I have to switch back to this one here to get to this overview. It looks like a massive dashboard here, but Lucas is working on something that we call the BizOps configurator. It's available for everyone, and the template for this dashboard, for this particular dashboard with all this information on it, is available there. If I remember correctly, you said that you did their session with our friend John Kelly on what is the BizOps configurator, how does it work, and I want to point out here one of these sessions that you did earlier this year. And yeah, if there are any more questions, I'm happy to answer them, but otherwise I hope just you're making friends with your marketing team, and marketing team, you're making friends with your IT team by talking about campaigns so that there is no unexpected traffic anymore. Everybody's happy, everybody has the telemetry to know that business is going well, and in case not only the telemetry that business is going well, but actually derive what the problem and the root cause is, and drive remediation by maybe turning off an A/B test if you're figuring out that it is not successful.
Very cool, Klaus. There are a lot of questions, and for those people that just joined later or that have not started asking the questions, please put them into the question feature. So there's a couple of questions. Let me read this out kind of as it makes sense for me. First one, it's first time I'm seeing Dynatrace. what does it take for me to enable Dynatrace for my marketing campaign if I don't have access to the actual server? Because as I understand, you typically install Dynatrace on a host level and then monitor. So I think the question is, if somebody is in the marketing, how can they enable Dynatrace without installing any software on the server?
Yeah. So if you are using a tag manager, for example, you can even start with the real user monitoring insights from Dynatrace by leveraging the injection via the tag manager. All you would add is a JavaScript tag to your website that you can introduce with the tag manager, and you're up and running and getting. If I go back to this overview here, you're getting almost everything just by doing that. This is would be this piece here. Well, that's the piece that would be left behind. However, as I said, it's something where we want to foster communication between IT and marketing. The other option that you have is we have actually the Dynatrace Insight Services, who are specialized specifically on those collaboration cases and really have a lot of experience on how actually non-IT and IT in general can work together. So happy to put you in touch with those folks as well. They can help you getting up and running without working with IT, but also then helping you to pull in your IT audience.
Very cool. By the way, it seems John Kelly is also watching, and he said he has an unusually big head on the slides. And I said, it's not just on the slide, that he has a big head. You just made a perfect segue though, Klaus. On the bottom left, I think that's the visualization of the synthetic test, right?
Yeah.
Can you go back to your Dynatrace dashboard, or the dashboard in Dynatrace? Because the next question is actually around this particular capability. So to read it out loud, really like the idea of synthetic checks to make sure the campaign page works. A couple of follow questions. First one, can we automate setting up the synthetic tests so that when we start a campaign, we don't forget to set up the synthetic monitor?
Yes. So synthetic is really great from an API perspective. Everything automatically you can set up via API. So you can pick from which locations you want to test this particular campaign page. All you need to kick it off is what is the URL that you want to test against. Pick from any of our dozens of locations that we have worldwide. Yeah, pick a frequency, do just a landing page ping, or do a multi-page step, so you can even go and check whether multiple steps of your conversion funnel are working. It's all possible and all possible to set up via API.
Perfect. And that also answers one of the follow-up questions from him. So the types of checks we have is basically a URL check, but also multi-step checks, and even for APIs, you can just do individual checks. What I really like is the idea that was automatically set it up as part of the workflow. So one thing that, and I think also we should add this to the next performance clinic we have in July, when we talk about automation and automating the whole thing, because some of the work that I'm doing in around continuous delivery and CI/CD is also automatically creating synthetic checks for service endpoints that get deployed, let's say, in an environment. And I think this would also be great if you launch a new campaign, whatever tools you use to launch that campaign or set it up, that they communicate with Dynatrace. So that's pretty cool. Last question from that same person on synthetic. What can we alert on synthetic? Is it just response time, or what else, or availability? What else can be alerted on?
It can be response time, availability, errors. With the errors, you can even look at what is the content that is being displayed. So that's all stuff that you can use to trigger alerts here on synthetic.
Yeah, and that's also, again, is cool with the question that we had earlier about if there is a problem that is detected with synthetic, you can already, notify your A/B testing tool or your whatever tool you use for your campaign to say turn it off because we know it's not available right now and it doesn't make sense. So that's pretty cool. Next question. I think you answered it, but just making sure that I read out loud. In the beginning, you talked about the metrics, so you can create metrics, right? Or you had your diagnostic view, basically your business analytics view, and you created metrics. Are these metrics also available via the API so that we can automatically process them in other tools other than Dynatrace?
Yes, all metrics that Dynatrace is collecting are available via API.
Yeah, perfect. I think this is also something we're going to show in July, where we're going to automate that into using Captain to automate business, what do we call them? Business level objectives.
Business level objectives was the term.
Exactly. The next question is, can you also exclude traffic that you don't want to monitor because it's either bots based on user agent or bot networks, maybe known networks?
So the traffic, the way how we are identifying traffic is via our Utm database. So like we have here the example, synthetic desktop browser. If there would be robot traffic coming in, we would show it up here as robot traffic automatically, something that Dynatrace identifies in any case. Mm-hmm. Removing it entirely from the tracking from Dynatrace is something that I do not suggest because robot traffic can be significantly. So we've seen cases where 60%, 70% of the traffic that is hammering the data center is coming from robot traffic. And that's why, in general, I would not suggest to exclude robot traffic. However, Dynatrace is capable of splitting the traffic up, so you can see what or who is driving the traffic, and that way you still have the overview as you need it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Last question so far is you're promoting with, I think this question might be for me, but still I'm heavily promoting sending events to Dynatrace around continuous delivery, like deployment, start testing, stop testing. Would something similar make sense for sending events when a campaign starts and stops, and how would this work?
The same way how you would send in any other event to Dynatrace, there is an API call where you can send those events in. And yes, it would make sense. Yeah. Because that way you would be aware of, hey, there is a campaign currently running, or there is a campaign that just started. And in the UI, those events would show up. And yeah, that would definitely make sense to you.
Perfect. All right, I think that's it with the questions so far. Klaus, if you do me a favor and go back to the last slide. Just a reminder for everyone, this was recorded. So that means the recording will be up soon on the YouTube channel as well as on university.dynatrace.com. Also, the slides will be uploaded there. So Klaus, we will publish the slides for our Dynatrace users that have access to university.dynatrace.com, and there click on Dynatrace, click on webinars, and then you'll find the webinar and the slides on there. There's a lot of other material up here, obviously. Oh yeah, a shout out to the BizOps configurator. Lucas is just texting me. It's on dynatrace.github.io/BizOps configurator. So maybe if you want to quickly open this up so that people that are interested in it. So it's dynatrace.github.io. Oh yeah, this is even easier, right? You have it in your history. There you go. That's perfect. So that is the BizOps configurator. dynatrace.github.io/BizOps configurator. Thanks, Lucas, for the reminder. Yeah. It's a great project. Yeah. And Yeah, other than that, Klaus, we will be back in about 4 weeks, I believe, and we will be talking about how can we automate everything around business automation. Like how can we, I think some of the things we talked about today, I really like the synthetic. Maybe we can add this to the webinar as well. Show how we can automate synthetic checks for campaigns and stuff like that. Yeah, and
Cool.
very cool. Hey, with that, I wish you a good extended weekend, because for those people that joined late in the beginning, Klaus actually said this is last thing he's doing before the weekend, even though it's Wednesday now. But enjoy your short vacation.
Thanks, and see you soon, everyone.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye bye.